Thanks for bearing with me. Okay,
Good. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We need a roll call.
you have, I think all your members are here in
Yeah.
person, so you're fine.
Oh, good. Okay. I'll
This
turn
is
it over
to
to Mr.
formally
Beatty.
advise that as required by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, subsection 18 through 25, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law June 16, 2021. As extended by Chapter 2 in the Acts of 2023, the Yarmouth Community and Economic Development Committee will hold a public meeting on Tuesday, May 14, 2024 at 5 p.m. at the Town Hall offices at 1146 Route 28, South Yarmouth. Meeting. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via alternative public access provided on the notice of meeting available on the town Yarmouth website.
Thank you, Joe. All right, up first is the road application number 2024-1-228 Route 28. What's the speech?
I'm Scott,
Scott.
Concert Group.
I'm Roy, we're both from Concert.
So this is the camera for the TV, correct, for the live
It is.
viewers? So everyone has a I made a handout, which is basically replication of this, one that doesn't line of sight to it. So the project we're discussing today is it's a mixed use project for
Somebody do that?
Can I help you? I'm good. Both retail, residential, in an area that provides access to some public spaces. The hope is that this will provide insight into the economic and community value that this will provide to the town, as well as the residents and property owners and visitors. This is everyone. Next slide. One from A+ Real Estate. The owners of the property, mentioned myself. Not present is our engineering consultant, Jack O'Leary. So next slide, next page. So the location is right on Route 28, next to what many are familiar with is next to Giardino's. Was once a buffet style restaurant. It's now a vacant lot with asphalt covering a good portion of it, which is in serviceable condition. The objective is to construct a new mixed use project on the vacant land. The goal is to preserve the Route 28 commercial corridor and put in a ground floor retail location, approximately 9,985 square feet. In addition, providing much needed apartment rental housing. The second floor above the retail level is residential apartments, 13 units in total. 3 are earmarked as 2-bedroom, approximately 900 square feet, and 10 of the units are 1-bedroom, approximately 600 square feet. It's a short walk from the Mill Creek Park, not far from where I've spent most of my time on the Cape since a youth. So this shows the west end and the south, which is right on Route 28, concept rendering. The goal is to comply with the standards, the design standards set forth by the town for the intended use. We've tried to choose materials that are aesthetically pleasing and conform with the standard. Go to the next slide. This is another. In this profile or this view, this was where on the west side where the retail access would be. And then residential would be at the other end.
East,
On the east, I believe.
down toward Bass River.
Correct.
Okay.
That would be this next slide that shows
That's not right.
that profile. Access here. This would be Route 28 here.
Okay.
And this is at a high level. I mean, this is the layout for the site. On the right, we want to illustrate that we have also incorporated landscaping into the plan. The left is really just a snapshot from the overall site plan package, which shows that we've taken consideration for traffic moving through there, not only like an 18 width but also like, safety, vehicles being able to get in and out through. And then we move on to the floor plan for residential, which is the, did I put this in reverse order?
No, that's right.
I did. Yeah, so residential, second floor, it's gross square footage of 9,700 square feet. Again, 3 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom units, and this just intends to show at a zoomed in level, what the floor plan looks like. And then on the retail, the ground level, future home of Express Restaurant Supplies, which is currently based in Hyannis, Mass. That will be occupying the roughly 9,956 gross square footage on the ground level. Let's see, this is not a high traffic type of a retail business. It's very much wholesale as well as retail. Deliveries will be, in terms of incoming inventory, made around the back with a loading area that's pretty not visible from either east, west, or south. So a little bit of the design, in terms of the commercial benefits, it's really, it's a net new business in town, with a product line that I think lends itself well to not so to consumers, customers. Will provide employment opportunities, not only in terms of the construction project itself, but also year-round opportunities to the year-round business. And the presence of people in this area on an annual basis year-round, that I think that will drive utilization of services within the town in terms of auto, dining, the library, things of that nature. The residential, the addition of 13 new dwelling units should that on paper that would support up to as many as 32 persons in terms of the number of beds it can accommodate. There is an affordable housing aspect to it, qualified for 2 of these units according to section 412.2.3. It's very conveniently located near other businesses. I mentioned the library. Gas station right nearby. So I think one of the things that I like about the area, my familiarity with it, is you can walk a bunch of different places. Like it's not the mall, so to speak, but there's a lot in the area. So I think it's good for business as well as the residences. And next slide. So I mentioned this would be year round. I think that versus the current unoccupied vacant lot, that doesn't really have any access controls. I think that a utilized space is going to be a good thing for all parties involved. Part of that space being intended for people to live. Let's see. So those are some of the qualitative statements. As far as some of the hardcore economic statements, it's at this juncture, it's easier for me to point to the tax revenue benefits. So currently, I think we're at about a $3,600 a year tax bill. Yep. Thank you. In fact, this is actually more of a detail slide. If you jump to the next slide, it just sort of nets it out. So the proposed mixed use would generate an estimated $36,600 in tax revenue. That's about a $33,000 increase over the current, based upon the land value, valuation land and the project itself at about 5.5 million, versus the current valuation of the property at about 500,000. And that assumes a tax rate of 7.38 per thousand. And these valuations are estimates only. I don't have any hard, receipts or anything like that as far as tax bills to point to, so that's just my disclosure there. And then further, so that's in comparison to a vacant lot. The alternative that was considered is just going with a single use retail zone for. Doing that would generate about $20,000 less in tax revenue. So this mixed use is a substantial increase over that. And that's based on a project value for the single 5 million overall acquisition cost and the building, it's a property itself, property in the building. So these numbers in the graph, if you look on the left column, you may seem like, oh, why is that 60,000? It's just, the graph happened to do a stack graph and add these numbers up cumulatively, but the intent is to show project like use by use, what some of the variance looks like visually. And so that's it, high level. So I'll open it up to any questions.
Any members, question? Pete?
Is the business related?
Yes.
Okay. Is there, I've been to the store in Hyannis, is there any way to understand or to identify what percentage actually comes from, say, commercial accounts versus the actual customer down the street that lives across the street walking and buying a spatula?
Can let the
These are
client speak
clients
to
right
that.
behind us. Imad and Mike.
How you doing? So consumer versus, commercial grades. Probably, I'm gonna say it's a 60-40 ratio. We've been open for about 3 years now. Obviously, when we first opened up, it was primarily commercial. Because that's where the need, after the cash and carry and Hyannis closed, didn't take long between our vendors, the Reinhardt's, the Cisco's, Performances Foods, to tell their customers, hey, if you run out of something, go over here. But we have certainly embraced, the locals as well, we'll call them, the retail side of things. And we fill a certain little niche, so to speak, or a niche that they like. You can go in there and you can buy those cookwares that you're not going to find. You can't go to Kmart anymore, so. And if anybody's been to Target, you know that those shelves are half empty. So where do you find stuff? For the restaurateur, the home cook, the caterers, everybody like that. There's no place to do it. So it's certainly a need for that. And we have enough people that like to cook that want those better things in their kitchen or those unique items. And that goes across the board. We had a gentleman in here in the last meeting, he was with the fire department. He says consistently, they've had the lowest lobster meat prices around. And that's obviously being here on the Cape lobster, if we can support that end of things and be competitively priced, why not? So we have anything from kitchenwares to paper towels and toilet paper and to-go containers and everything. So if you're having your graduation party, they come here. If the police are having one of their benefits, the Barnstable Police Department are there at least every other month, buying in bulk. And we always work with those people that are buying very large orders to give them a little bit of a price break. So.
Thank you.
Danielle?
I don't have any at this moment. Will the other 11 units, what will those rental rates be? Are they gonna be market rate or more affordable,
Somewhere in between.
lowercase affordable? Okay, somewhere between. Okay.
Yeah, we understand that the need of rentals are at a premium. But we also understand not everybody can afford the premium prices.
Yeah.
So we'd like to be competitively priced. But not, we want to make sure that the people that are living there are stable. So, but we got to be somewhere in between. We know we can't get premium and we shouldn't, but we also know we can't be at the very low end of the spectrum. So somewhere in between.
Thank you.
Joe?
What's the construction timeline look like? You guys gonna have to build septic?
Septic's coincidentally already there.
Oh, right.
It's the restaurant was left behind, a wonderful, fairly new septic system. So that's there and the tanks are there. So we've made use of it. Eventually, we're going to set it up so that it could connect to the sewer.
Right.
As soon as that comes, but that's one little fortunate thing they didn't destroy. So that's So the timeline, I don't know, I'd say a year.
I remember reading that. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, things are going slower these days than they used to, because we can't get people to show up, but we do our best.
Is a septic designed for this?
It was designed for a much greater and more intensive use. This is less.
Okay.
Yeah, so it actually lasts forever, honestly, you know, if
Okay.
sewer didn't come along, we'd probably stay with it.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Help me understand the difference between commercial, what you're feeding to the commercial enterprises versus the homeowner. And what I'm getting at is there any disruption to that relative to the tenants that are on site as well? Okay.
There'd be no disruption. Commercial versus retail, we'll say. The commercial use is the restaurant right next door.
Yeah.
And I apologize for saying this, but it's an oh shit moment store. They run out of something and that's usually what they say is that, and then they go to it. You know, or Cisco or Performance or Reinhardt didn't fulfill their order. Maybe they were out of something and they know we have it, or they had a busy weekend. They need it. And a lot of times, especially during the winter time down here, all these purveyors have minimum order amounts. So as business slows down, sometimes these guys can't make their minimum orders. So they're going maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before they can meet that minimum order. We don't have, you just come in, grab the cart and fill it up. So that fulfills a need for the restaurateurs down here that when they do slow down, but they're staying open to fill that void for them.
Okay, so there's no trucks coming in at all hours and
Oh, no,
coming in during.
trucks come in around 8 o'clock.
Okay,
They're there for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
20 minutes, offload.
Yeah.
And away they're, but that only happens, summertime, 3 days a week, wintertime, 2 days a week.
okay. And what do you anticipate for job creation?
Well, so that, obviously, we're gonna need a property manager with the housing upstairs, maintenance. So right there's a couple, then we have the inside staff. Right now, we currently are operating with 5 inside staff members. So increasing the square footage, we're going to need more staff. There's a few things, that I'd like to do in the building that may even increase that amount even more.
Like 20 to 30 construction jobs.
So, across the board from construction to end, we could have, maybe 10, 12 employees.
Yes, yeah. And when do you anticipate construction starts? Again?
Should turn around and ask the town clerk. Oh, that was, I'm only,
June
nice to be
June 19th.
trouble in the ground.
Well, right now, they're going through the road application, which is why we're here.
Yep.
We're looking for some, support and recommendation of the project, through the planning board, given the economic benefits of the project. And then hopefully we'll have design review, as Steve knows, either June 4th or June 6th. And then we're hoping to have the formal public hearing before the planning board on June 19th.
Yeah, then we have to go to
They
the,
have to-
zoning board of appeals.
What the road does is it takes something like mixed use within a variance, the zoning board of appeals, and converts it into a special permit. The difference is they have to stop at the planning board and they also have to have a heightened design aesthetic, which they've been working very hard on doing to make it look really nice. Obviously, housing is a big issue here in the town of Yarmouth, rental housing in particular, not just affordable, but all kinds, even market rate. There's just a low inventory right now. So obviously that's a huge benefit to the community.
So we have to do after the Board of Appeals, we have to do the building department, but hopefully our plans will be in pretty good shape. So I'd like to think that by early fall, we're underway.
And how long?
Well, I said about a year, because I hate to say less anymore, because it might be less. I mean, if things go well, but it's just, it takes longer these days. People are so busy.
Let me ask you, why'd you come to Yarmouth? Why Yarmouth?
It's a little, well, number one, the property easier to obtain. Okay, where we're currently at, a little bit of a challenge to get in and out. A Plus Real Estate's owned the property for a few years now. So why not put something that is beneficial to the town? Since, A Plus Real Estate already owns it. Let's take an eyesore as an empty lot and turn it into something creative and nice that can benefit locals, housing, and commercial. So if somebody's gonna go from Yarmouth to Hyannis to shop us, as they do, Hyannis to Yarmouth, same thing. It's just in reverse.
Well, our compliments for considering Yarmouth and something this here. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
How are you finding so far getting through the regulatory agencies?
We couldn't be happier with the staff. Staff is- Well, you have,
like sit there, right?
well, not every town has a professional engineer as a planner. That's a very big help.
Right.
And I think also she does a really good job of helping us to know what you guys and other board members might be concerned about. So, yeah, I mean, it's transparent, it's friendly. What more can you ask, right? Of course, if I had my choice, it'd be shorter, but you have a very complex process, but you are allowing people to vary. And that's something that almost doesn't happen anywhere. So
Right.
you ask why we come, that may be a reason.
Good.
Steve, could I bring up another
Yes, sir.
line of discussion?
Yes, sir.
This may not be a fair question, because normally a development project doesn't come to the table with an existing tenant. And if I can put you on the spot a little bit, just because you're much more well-versed in this particular topic, there's a lot of restaurants in Yarmouth that are concerned about some environmental constraints that they're gonna have with takeout and all the to-go boxes and things of that nature.
Can I answer that?
What's the question?
Right, exactly. Let me get to the question. So if you mentioned benefiting the town of Yarmouth, so if you could just describe a little bit in terms of that impact and how that will benefit the town of Yarmouth, because I know that Mary's got something to say.
Regulation that will be going into place.
So we already, in our shelves, have compostable merchandise.
Right.
It's something that we've had from day one. And actually, I'll go back to previous to us opening. We have a cleaning company. So part of that cleaning company in our accounts, we had to keep toilet paper, paper towels, and hand sanitizer. So who knew that toilet paper would push us into a different spectrum of business? So as these restaurants that were open, they were calling us, here they are, they're open, they have employees, they still need toilet paper, they still need paper towels, but nobody had any. So they started calling us, knowing that we're a cleaning agency, and saying, hey, can we buy a case of paper towels or toilet paper from you? They have employees in there going there to goes. Then I had a couple of places call up and say, you got any to-go containers? Because we can't get any. So through my connections, we called the company and, they said, well, we do. But all we have are the compostables. They were flawed, imperfects, or seconds. The only part of that imperfect or seconds was that they had a black line going through it. So in the mill, when they were being molded, something put a black line. Didn't affect it anyway, other than it didn't pass quality control. 2 tractor trailer loads later, versus postables started express restaurants.
Well, that's good to hear, because I think that that's gonna become a much more of a public concern, and there's gonna be more conversation around it as people are taking containers home that they don't necessarily recognize or aren't necessarily. Why is this happening? And the fact that it's now gonna be happening in Yarmouth is actually a good thing, so. I was
And-
kind of
and
giving you
where
a
it's easy to-
softball there. I'm glad to hear.
And
There you go.
it's easy to go to, already having it. People aren't gonna scramble and wonder where they can get
Where
it.
they can get it, exactly, because that
It's
was
something
part of the
that-
conversation.
It's been on the shelves from day one.
I mean, the restaurant, as you know, the restaurants are well aware of the regulations that are coming down the road, so they're probably already in conversation with you if they're not.
Absolutely.
But it'll be a benefit for the gentleman that don't know, I'm the chamber. It might be a benefit to have them here locally and Jerry has some work.
That's right, they can just walk, you know?
In the meantime, go shop in Hyannis at their store. One of your Board of Health members said they had the best price on lobster meat. You heard that said, right? So there are some people in town hall.
Those are the kind of stories we like.
Any other questions? Any members? So we get,
You know, and I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
to benefit the commercial side of things, we also offer a discount to the commercial end of the business. So they want to keep coming back to us, so they will use us. You know, so that's important that we support fellow community members in the commercial end of things. Because that's how we survive.
If you haven't been in the establishment. Thank you.
Have you been? Thank you. You liked it?
so the applicants are going to take a vacant lot, create some jobs, permanent, part-time, create some housing, much needed housing in the town, and the town will get some revenue because of the efforts. So we have, I guess you need a motion to support the road application.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that the Yarmouth Community Economic Development Committee supports the road application number 2024-1 for the development of the site at 228 Route 28.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? You recorded as an aye too. All right, good, guys.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. A pleasure to meet you. Seeing you at the next
Yeah,
hearing.
the next,
See you again.
design review.
And Peter's on the planning board.
Oh, great. We'll see you again, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
On the
job.
19th.
Thank you.
Kathy, should
Hi, Danielle.
Thank you.
I didn't see that was up before. Thank you. You paid the second car.
Yeah, he, turns out he is lactose intolerant, possibly allergic to soy, and has acid reflux.
Oh.
So that's been our last month.
And an egg, chicken apps.
So you have a carpet washer that's going all the time.
Yes.
We had one of those.
There's a couple of cards for the supply. if you need them.
Thank you very much. All right,
Have a good night.
you too. Good job. Next up, next item is the request for support. Cape Cod Collaborative Support for Underutilized Building Grant. Request for property at 1175 Route 28.
I'm gonna try to bump them up. But
They're not there.
the screen isn't reflecting them,
The next closest is like.
Oh, well,
so I can see them fine on the computer. And I think the meeting is recording correctly.
can we hear them? Audio?
We're gonna find out.
Okay.
Paul, you're muted. Can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
No. Darn it.
Okay.
Pat, can,
Is our mic on?
Paul, try to say hello again, please.
Sure, good afternoon, how are you?
And I can hear
Yes.
you too.
Good. One more time.
Good afternoon, how are you?
No.
Is that mute?
That means it's on.
Yeah, okay.
Should we, yeah, because it's playing through the two. Yeah, I think we have to listen to it.
Are we any better?
Yeah, bingo.
All right, thank you.
But let's try the video as well. Hold on. It's on the Polycom. You can see us okay?
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, the conference room screen is not working,
It's showing your taskbar.
Well, we look amazing if that helps.
as always.
Does he have visuals he needs to show us?
Share your screen to the meeting.
I think it's the display, like, I think.
Here, Jude,
Yeah, I think it might be like.
you know what it is?
I might need to like extend, just.
I was wondering about.
You're doing something up here, huh?
Just bear with us, Paul.
Sure.
It'd be nice if everyone could see you.
What's that? Somebody else.
It's outside.
Yeah, I thought it was.
There we go.
There, try it.
There you go.
Yay, Courtney,
There we go. All right,
you're hired.
all right.
Oh, look at your face. You're so happy now.
That's all it
There we
takes,
go.
Joe. For me to be right, that's all it takes. No.
All right.
All right, you all set?
Hey, Paul, and Patrick, that you're representing the Cape Cod Collaborative. Paul, in the packet, I think I sent you guys a copy of the letter that you had
Sure, I'd be happy to launch into it if you'd like. The collaborative entered into a partnership with Bridgewater State University in 2020. As they had more online education, we increased use of the building, and through the pandemic, renovated the building. We put about $4.5 million in renovation into the building following the work that they had. We opened the program, we opened programs in the building in July of this past year, 2023. And we have about 30 staff working there. The students and the staff are doing outings in the community, doing internships in the community, and doing purchasing within the community. They're having community events with the cultural center and with the vendors throughout the area up and down Route 28. What we're looking for in this case is there's a grant program for underutilized properties that are municipally owned, and we're looking to replace the second boiler at the Lawrence MacArthur building. It was thought to be in good condition. During our renovation, we discovered that it had a crack that is not going to, the repair that has been done is not going to hold. This program we're looking for support for is a grant program, so there's no repayment. So we're looking for the Community Development Board's support in submitting this application to the state for the underutilized properties program to increase the capacity of the building to host community events, university events, and to continue to use it as the site for the Cape Cod Collaborative Waypoint Academy program. Happy to answer any questions, but that in a nutshell is what we're looking at.
Any questions from committee members?
You said that this grant is specific to municipal buildings?
I believe it can be for private buildings also. We did our bonding to renovate the building with Mass Development, which is a quasi-municipal entity that does bonding. They encouraged us to apply to this grant program after doing our bond through them. And they indicated to us that the property qualified through the town's ownership. So would be looking to both Bridgewater State University and the town to help us maintain the capacity of that building to host an array of activities.
Peter? Danielle? Courtney?
Just thank you for the good work that the collaborative does and for bringing that to Yarmouth. We really appreciate it. And I know it's a well-attended services that you provide, and it's really great to see the work you're doing there.
Well, thank you.
Joe?
I thought I read, you got a positive response to your EOI? Yes?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes.
Wasn't.
the EOI.
Yes.
The,
yes, there was a
the
positive
question
response.
was, did you get a positive response to the EOI, the expression of interest?
Yes, the
It's a
state
two-step
responded.
program.
The state responded very positively and gave us some pointers as to how to broaden the application, and actually encouraged us to apply for more. So that if they decreased what they were offering, it might pay for the boiler if they carved out anything else. I've considered adding to the application, reactivating the clock in the clock tower, which I think would certainly aid anybody sitting in the field wondering what time it is.
Mhm. Kids practicing,
Yes.
yeah. And more. Is the grant application, Mr. Hilton, to the request for 250,000, doesn't have to be matched at all, or is that 100% you're
No,
asking for from the state?
It's 100% grant. There is no match requirement. We are going to have to repair the boiler at some point anyhow.
Mhm.
I think they'll honor the commitment we've made over the past 2 years of, I believe it was $4.45 billion in investment. Just didn't have this last 250 to do the boiler.
When does that application have to be in?
I believe it's the end of this month, Patrick, is that correct?
Yeah, June 5th.
Okay, can I have a motion to support the request to the state for $250,000?
Sure. I move that the Yarmouth Community and Economic Development Committee supports the Cape Cod Collaborative's grant application to the Community One Stop for Growth Grant Program for underutilized properties program in the amount of $250,000 to replace the boiler.
Can I have a
Second.
second? Danielle, any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye,
Hi.
opposed? Well, good, thank you,
Well,
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
great job.
Take care.
All right.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Good night.
Thanks,
Look,
thanks, Karen.
if there's any underutilized municipal buildings in the town that we might seek this grant in future solicitations. Okay, next up, we got the vacant storefront program. I sent out PowerPoint. Can you pull that up? So when we last spoke about this, I know I was perhaps very aggressive in trying to get this thing pushed through. So tonight, what I wanted to do is just kind of walk through. This is, as you can see, a suggestion here that it be a pilot. This is a draft PowerPoint that I sent late this afternoon, Karen. So just some discussion points if we could. And no timeline on getting this through tonight but at some point in the near future, I'd like to get a vote that we move forward with this program. So, as I said, it's just a,
Yes, sure. Just.
pilot. What I would suggest is a pilot program. If we go to the first slide.
Oh, you want to go to the second
Yeah,
slide?
second slide. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay,
you did.
enable it.
Thank you. No, we're not extending it.
Okay.
No, we're not.
See,
I don't know.
I don't know, I'm gonna stop the share and go, I don't know why it's not.
It like unextended them.
It did.
Yeah.
Can't live with it, can't live without it.
All right, it's back
All
up
right,
now.
you're there.
So
Just go to the PowerPoint.
Hmm.
Don't even bother through the Zoom. Zoom will show, but the PowerPoint won't.
okay,
It's a workaround.
okay, there you go.
So I apologize, this is my attempt at PowerPoint, so some font settings or some things are off, my apologies on it, but I basically kind of mirrored this draft pilot program off of what Hyannis does, so I figured why reinvent the wheel? It seems to be pretty successful in Hyannis, so a lot of what you see, you're going to see is modeled after that. Again, it's just to encourage commercial property owners to initiate and to renovate the street front exteriors of their properties. Next slide. Stop if you have any questions along the way. Approved applicants will be awarded. We had some discussion about this last time. I threw a number in there, $20,000. So if it's a project of $40,000 of work to be done on the exterior of the property, we would throw our money in not to exceed the $20,000. Prove the applicants are expected to pay the entire cost, and I know there was discussion on that the last time too, is where the applicant would be upfronting the money, we'd be reimbursing once the project was completed. Next slide. So the eligible applicant would be any building owner or tenant with the approval of the commercial property owner. Okay. And these would be the eligible improvements: signage, exterior painting and siding, landscaping, hard and soft. So flowers, planters, bricks, mortar, that type of thing. Decorative features, including shutters and awnings and windows indoors. Planters, those type of things. Applicants would be expected to complete an application in which we would need to develop. The applicant must provide proof of ownership or a letter in case of the tenant, the owner, indicating that the work can proceed, and the applicant must demonstrate it has the financial capacity to fulfill the 50% match. Again, for discussion purposes, the suggestion would be that the entire Route 20 be the project area. However, for the pilot program, I would suggest maybe look at an area defined by West Yarmouth Road and Parker's River. And another location is what we talked about years ago, was the property, the strip mall next to Shaw's Supermarket. As another alternative. Now, that's me. I'm sure you folks, Karen, you might have some input on that. Steve, you're way off. Maybe we ought to consider some other area here, but open for discussion. And then the next slide. Had some preliminary conversations with the chamber. Mary's here if you want to ask her any questions, but given the workload here with the staff, with Karen, I would suggest that the Chamber of Commerce administer the program. And then the last slide.
I think that is.
That is the last slide. The selection process, I think, would be, as a suggestion, the chamber and the CEDC. Of course, the input with the town as well. So just again, for discussion purposes, please fire away with questions. I know there was some concern about how this program might interfere or cause some delay with the process and approval for the tourism revenue applications. And it's my guess right now is that if we limit the scope of the project to a defined boundary short of the entire Route 20, 228, that we won't have an awful lot of applicants, especially given the fact that they've got to come up with some money themselves. So I don't think that we'll have a bevy of applications that will add on to the applicants that we have for the tourism revenue that would, bury us with applications. That's my ideas on facade improvement program. And again, just for discussion purposes, at some point, like maybe in the fall, we can get approval of this thing, or if not sooner, but just move the ball down the field if we could a little bit here. Each meeting, we could have a discussion about this and
Can I ask you a question?
fire away.
So what are your boundaries? First, you said Bath River Bridge to West
To
Yarmouth,
West-
which is
West
Parker's River. And then there was something else that said Parker's River to West Yarmouth.
That would be a subset of it, smaller section. So instead of taking the entire corridor of 28, we
Yep.
just take a small piece of it. So from West Yarmouth Road to Parker's River.
Parker's River.
Yeah.
So not extending down to Bath River Bridge?
No. Again, this is a pilot, and I think we want to go very slow. Just take one, as I see it, just maybe if we can do it, 1 or 2, maybe 3 projects. that'll give us an idea of whether or not this is gonna work, and we can handle it. And,
Is 1088 Route 28, that's the one next to Citizens, between Citizens and
Job lot.
it's the Job Lot Plaza?
yeah, yeah,
So 1088, so Davenport owns it all except for Job Lot, which is separate from left side and right side. So I don't, would the Davenports be likely to pursue a storefront?
I don't know.
I'm just
maybe-
wondering if
no,
they're, I'm looking at the plaza down this way, which is aesthetically much worse.
Where the
Yeah.
hardware store
The
is
hardware
and
store
former
is.
D'Angelo's.
Right,
Yeah.
and the problem with
I
that
agree.
plaza
Mhm.
is the hardware store is one owner, and then everything down to Walk and Roll is another owner.
You're talking on the right side,
I'm talking down here on the right.
right? Okay, gotcha.
So I'm just saying aesthetically, that plaza is in much more trouble than the Job Lot Plaza,
Okay,
which actually gets, I mean, Davenport takes care of it pretty well. I mean, it's upgrades, it's maintained. Whereas the one down there, partially because of the owners, Cumberland Farms is closing June 15th, I understand too. They've sold, they're leaving, and will be replaced probably with another convenience store like one of the other 50 that we have on 28.
Mhm.
And D'Angelo's is being renovated by Burger Queen, which is, they're doing that now. So there is some activity there, but there's a lot of,
It's not pretty.
there's a lot that can
No.
be done.
Yeah.
The hardware store owners, a much larger company that probably may or may not be interested, but the rest of it, they might be interested. And there's some vacancy in that store from what I understand, because the building department is having a hard time issuing occupancy permits for retail because they don't have enough parking. Because all the parking that abuts 28 is in the 28 roadway layout, so you can't have parking. So that plaza is kind of like a little bit of trouble.
Mhm.
Jeez.
And it probably will never, unfortunately, in a lifetime be redeveloped because there's 3 owners. And it's the one piece that really should be redeveloped.
That's really good intel.
There's like
Yeah.
5 owners, if you want to count D'Angelo's, which is still corporate owned, and then Cumberland Farms, which is going to sell to
Whoever.
somebody who's not going to participate in redevelopment of that whole strip.
Yeah.
Hardware store will probably continue as they are, as they have been for years.
Hmm.
And then the other owners actually own the liquor store, Waterville Liquors too, so there's some. But
And crazy.
that's a top plaza to actually probably. There'd be a lot of people that have to participate in redevelopment, so it might need. Storefront might help it a lot, this, you know.
Yeah, I think definitely going that way is a good idea. I have questions about project administration once you give your,
I was just gonna say, so there's 2 things here with the title is a little confusing to me. So a couple of years back, when I believe I was a member of the CEDC, we had talked about 2 different programs. We talked about the vacant storefront program
Mhm.
and we talked about a facade program. So
Mhm.
there's 2 separate
Yeah.
entities.
Right.
okay?
Yes.
So, and that particular plaza was identified, some of the members had identified specific locations along 28 from Bass River all the way to the Barnstable line. That was one potential site. So what we're talking, well, what I've had the discussion, with Steve about is a facade program.
Right.
Not a vacant storefront program.
Right.
Yep.
Which to me is, much different, right? So the reason we didn't identify is exactly for what you're talking about. Too many different tenants, too many different owners. It becomes very complicated when you have a strip mall to try to do a facade program on.
Yeah.
It's much easier to do an independent building that, I'll give you an example. Across from Scally's, where the mole doctor is.
Hmm.
It's one owner that would do the improvements, not the individual tenants. So that project could potentially be doable, right? We could talk to the owner ahead of time, let him know about the program, instead of individual tenants just doing piecemeal, because what we want to do is one site, make it aesthetically pleasing, right? And from the chamber's standpoint, curb appeal is everything. Right? They'll increase their sales, they'll have more walk-through traffic. I mean, there's so many benefits for them to do that. So it's to our benefit for the chamber to become involved in this project. And I think we can help identify the property owners that we think will step up to the plate. And even if it's a small project where it's $5,000 of redoing I'll say a garden that's deteriorated in the front parking, what makes the property look run down will change the entire appeal of that property. So there can be some small wins with the facade program. And my personal opinion is, knowing the potential property owners that would step forward, you are not gonna have 20 people knocking down the door. A lot of them don't want to get involved with the permitting with the town. They're a little skeptical of, once they get into a project, what is it gonna open, like, you take one window out, right? And you find that there's rock, and then you get into a much bigger project, right? So I think if we can work with some property owners again on small projects, small wins, and then when someone sees their neighbor making the improvements, maybe they will too.
Mhm.
If I could offer some.
Whitney was,
You don't talk about administration.
No, I have-
Talk about the.
I have a lot of comments to that also. So I think the reason, just to clarify, the reason it was like listed as both is because we've been concurrently talking about two different programs since Maria was here. She had a vacant storefront program going, then the facade improvement thing came up. So I'm happy that, yes, I think we all are under the same impression that we want facade improvement, not vacant storefront. I also, when I think of like that line of Parker's River Bridge to West Yarmouth Road, none of those businesses in my mind, like, we're getting a new hole-in-one that looks great. Scally's looks fine. There's a couple little things here and there, but I see like that, really that corner of Station Ave and 28 really being ugly and needing love, and people there, the strip mall excluded, there are other businesses in that area on that end of town that I think really need the love. I think especially when you come in from Dennis and that's what you first see in Yarmouth, it's not exciting, it's not vibrant. So I think, yeah, definitely narrowing down where we want to go and hearing your input into terms of like who would step up. I think for a pilot, I think we would not expect 20. I think maybe like 2 or 3, if that. But yeah, working with these owners to get this off the ground, to improve their facades, to make the businesses more inviting and the town more attractive is what I think we all want, because it's not.
Yep.
It's not super attractive right now on that part of things. You can go, Joe, and then I'll go back to other stuff later.
No, and the Cumberland Farms and the D'Angelo's, it might be 2 places. I mean, if D'Angelo's, if they signed a long-term lease, I don't know how much they're gonna put into the exterior.
Yeah,
Nothing so far. There's just, paper on the windows. You can't even see inside.
yeah. I just think of like, is it Olympia? What's that seafood
Yeah.
restaurant? And the Crazy Rooster and like those
Yeah.
places, like, those are single, not. They could use some love too. And even that gas station, like the auto body, like there's just places on that end that I think could definitely use some love. The Thai restaurant, yeah, a lot of attention and be made more pretty.
It would, I mean, to me, to get this going, I'd lean towards a simple application process, but maybe keep it all at 28. And even though we say maybe we're gonna only do 5 awards or whatever we're gonna do, it might give us an idea of, what's.
Yeah.
Is there like an area that's like, hey, we got 2 or 3 applicants from that section, or where's the need? We might get the need from it, but I think if we keep the process simple, so it's not like overwhelming to anybody, that maybe we can attract some people with the simplicity of it is open, maybe start it with all Route 28, just to try to get a feel of, hey, there's a bunch of people that are, poking, seeing what's out there. And that might give us a better gauge to how much more we want to go forward on this. Do we want to, do we have some money now? Maybe it's something that's great that we maybe want to look for even money outside of what we have now if we get a whole bunch of applicants. I think it goes back to when we get a whole bunch of applicants for the tourism fund. It's great when you get all these new applicants and there's new stuff to kind of look at and go, oh, hey, there are people that are looking at this. So I think it gives us a little more perspective of what to look at in the future too. So, I'd like to try to keep
Yeah.
it simple, just to kind of feel it out and see, because this is new, hey, if we get 10 applicants, that's awesome. If there's like 3 or 4 all in the same section, then that's telling me something, opposed if there's just 1 or 2 here and there.
Yeah.
Right? But I think there's so much along 28 that could use some love.
Yeah.
That I don't know that I necessarily want to limit it. I understand starting off small, but I kind of feel, I like the data, and if we can get some data as to, you know, what the potential need is, keeping it simple, because like the tourism fund stuff, you get into bogging down, some of that gets a little beyond simple. Let's keep it simple. And, I mean, maybe we come back and go, okay, we got a bunch and we want to spread it out. We're gonna do 5, and we'll do 2 in South Yarmouth and 3 in West Yarmouth, or if we want to spread it out, or maybe we want to say, hey, we'll do it all in one little section. I think if we kind of give our criteria, whatever criteria we have, broad enough that, we can look at all of that, we can look at all of that.
And we don't want to miss that middle part too. Like I'm thinking like where the 99 is and across from there where their new convenience stores, like there's a bunch of little businesses along there too that really could also use some love and attention. So we don't want to, and they might be hungry for it. So I think you're totally right. Gauging the appetite for it is a good idea.
Just along with mine if we, I know you had 20,000, up to $20,000 as half, do we have an idea of how much money we want to allocate to this program the first
Overall.
year?
I haven't seen her. I haven't. looked at
Because
the
maybe
budgets.
that's something we should.
The driver,
look at too, is to kind of figure out, we may be able to take a little bit of out of public improvement potentially, because this is gonna be public improvement. And then as well, we have some of the economic development funding. But I think maybe we should think about, do we want to dedicate, 50,000, we're gonna do 5, 10,000s or 10, 2,500s, or, I don't know how much a window costs, or like, I don't know what the average facade things, but signs I know are crazy money, aren't they? So,
Right.
I think maybe kind of we want to figure out maybe a budget for it. And again, we might have some wiggle room too, as we get a whole bunch of applicants, and maybe we go, okay, well, maybe we want to put a little more money to this and fund another project or two. But I think maybe just a starting point to say, we're gonna do 25, we're gonna do 50, whatever we're gonna do, and to make sure that we can pull, if we're gonna pull from public improvements, that's a legitimate, that we're good in doing that. And how much do we want to pull from that? How much do we want to pull from economic development? What else are we thinking too? So I think we have the, definitely for public improvements, we have some money sitting there. And I think
Yeah.
We had, yeah.
love
I
to-
don't have that
We have-
yet. I wasn't prepared for
I
that.
think we have at least, I mean, I don't know, the one that I'm looking at says at least for FY25, at least 109,000 unallocated
Yeah.
in public improvements.
Yeah. And we have 50,000 in economic development, so.
I'm not saying spend it all. I mean,
No, no.
Maybe it's 50,000 or 60, whatever we decide to allocate. I think kind of if we have a number, then it kind of lets us
Yeah.
kind of work back from then as, and we may get a bunch of small projects. We might get, if somebody, somebody wants a $5,000 sign, hey, okay, that's $2,500. So we can go, and again, if the process is simple and it's not a crazy burdensome process, then maybe we'll get more people inclined to apply, but that's.
Yeah, totally agree. Joseph.
Joe?
I don't disagree with anything that's been said. Thing that's been sort of batting around inside my head is that if it's gonna be a pilot program, then I think we need to have the conversations that are more about how do we position the pilot program to succeed in a way that it's going to be that starting gun that we want it to be, so that we do get 10 or 15 applications the following year. So I don't know what the sweet spot is in terms of the types of improvements, the dollar amount, how many awards, but I would suggest that maybe we define that very clearly at the front end. And when we start talking about signage, you're starting to bring back in regulatory bodies, and you're starting to talk about, do people want to even get involved with that? But since we're going away from the state program, the facade program can become a beautification program, or it can become whatever it is we want it to be. We can call it and sort of signal what it is we're looking for. And I don't know what the numbers are, but if we're talking about investing $2,000 worth of landscaping on 20 different properties, which would give us 40,000 with the $20,000 match, that could go a pretty long way of getting people's interest if they're gonna cut their annual flower bill in half. Or that they haven't done it for a period of years because they can't spend that money on it. They have to spend it on other things. That's why the property looks the way it does. Paint the same. I don't know exactly what it is, but whatever we do, the first one should have some wow factor to it, is my point.
Yeah.
So that when everyone goes, wow, what did they do? Well, they went to the town and got some help. And then the next year, they're beating down our door
Not,
to get into the program.
to go off of that, a lot of this, I think, will tie into our partnership with the chamber and the marketing and promotion of it before, during, and after the program is done. And I believe Hyannis, I could be wrong, but had something that you needed to have a little placard that says that it was partly unfunded
Hmm.
by the bid facade improvement program. So that alone is a huge marketing piece of it too, and something that I would expect us to make a qualification. Yeah, I think looking at like, so the administration of the program, I mean, in my mind, the way that it would work is that we would launch the announcement of the applications, and then they'd be accepted. In my mind, Mary, and maybe I'm wrong, is like administrators, like you would collect the applications, but we would all review them. And then like the town still has to be the one to reimburse. So I'm just trying to make sure that like, in terms of administration, I don't think we're asking a lot of the chamber in terms of just putting out the promos and then accepting the applications once they're returned, and then we would all review them to decide what would be issued, and then the town issues reimbursements after they're done. So does that sound right to you?
I think the only other step that I had talked to Steve about is that we would wean through the applications, and if someone doesn't have a full application, we would exclude it before it comes to you.
Okay,
So,
great.
you know, if somebody doesn't fulfill a requirement that's
Yep.
in the application, we just wean it out for you.
Okay, yeah, so you'd bring us the best, the full completed applications, and then we would, okay, yeah, I think that sounds. That sounds great. I think in terms of our future discussions, it includes the project area, the budget that we want to expend on it,
Mhm.
and then developing a good, PR campaign about it and launching the applications and figuring out our timeline to accept them and issue them. Because I think we talked about this previously in this discussion, is either, if we launch it in the fall, that gives people the time to kind of weed through their ideas, but like you can't do any landscaping work in the winter. So getting reimbursed for that, it's gonna have to wait until they get the work done in the spring, then they be reimbursed before the end of fiscal 25. So just thinking about that timeline too, in terms of what they can get done and when we can help them out.
We keep saying landscaping. Are we actually talking about flowers? Like we
No.
can't reimburse for things that
No.
aren't gonna be year to year.
No, we're not. I think it's just in general terms. The Hyannis program, and I've sent out the stuff and I can resend it to the committee again, is very specific in terms of what it includes.
I haven't.
Yeah, so landscaping in terms of like,
I'm thinking like railroad ties.
yeah,
Yeah, there's
building the boxes for the beds, building, repainting the sign, if you have one, or building a post. I know that there's like getting into the weeds of the building, but like you already had to get a sign permit. So like going back to update or get a new one, really, you should have already known how that process works for your business, and you should be able to go through it again. I don't think that's like terribly in the weeds of like local government processes. I think that's pretty basic. We're not asking anybody to expand their building or
Right.
need a zoning permit, or things like that. So I think we need to look at also like what projects would be accepted and what we're looking for. But that's a good point, because definitely not like the flowers themselves. Like, we're not gonna reimburse you for bulbs that are not gonna rise again next year. That's not improving.
Could you note in the minutes that Danielle doesn't like flowers?
Good feedback.
Flower.
But we set a date to just have this done by September 1st and have Mary sort of go out there fishing, let these people know that this is coming. and just get-
Yeah, I think we can easily hammer out these details in the next 3 months. I mean,
Just say
easy,
it's-
super easy.
Yeah.
I was just gonna suggest
Yeah.
that, Mary, you okay with it? Can you do some preliminary for us to see what businesses might be interested?
Yeah. I
Given
mean,
our
I already
discussion.
know from some of the property owners that are either, they don't live on Cape and they have no interest in investing in their property, or those that have tenants that are influential and maybe prodding the property owner to apply. So, yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
we can take some time.
I do think it's important that you advertise this broadly so
Yeah.
that it's not cherry picking
Right,
projects,
right. You
right?
can't do that. Yeah, we don't.
You
want-
cannot do
Right,
that.
right.
And then we'll have to talk about kind of the procurement of the project administration.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I can have a conversation with Mary about that.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's part of this contract or outside, and what's the cost, and that's another cost that you want to build into the program.
Yeah.
Is this administrative cost.
And just so you know, other chambers are involved in projects, just like
Mhm.
the Western Mass Chambers did it, and it was very successful. It's just, we have a direct communication with property owners. And pretty much know who might be willing to make the investment.
So what kind of timeline do we think we would want? Like, when would we want people applying? Because obviously you're like, they're not gonna start doing any work until spring.
So we actually talked differently. We talked about if it went out in the fall,
Or this next spring season to start, yeah.
depending on what the project is, most people should be able to do their work over the winter. And have it done, let's say by June 1st, before we get into peak season,
Mhm.
depending on what the project
Mhm.
is.
Yeah,
Good point.
And I don't know how complex some of it could be with permitting, right? That's the other thing we have to be cautious of.
yeah.
And that kind of is what it is, like Courtney
Right.
was saying.
I think if we try and launch it for September 1, have applications be due, I don't know, October 1 or something like that, and then and maybe that's something we put in there, that like the project must be completed by June 1st. And that way it's able to get done and be in there.
Hannah's had something like that, didn't they?
Yeah,
Or
they-
preference given.
Yeah, they definitely had some, yeah, I think in terms of the application, I mean, I thought Hyannis's was like a very thorough, complete, and very like easy to follow and navigate, and not overburdensome to the applicant or to the committee. So I think looking at that would be a really great start.
But can it be sort of a rule kind of thing? I mean, why September 1, if you're not in by October 1? I mean, if I had a deadline of 30 days to make a decision. on what I'm-
That was just like throwing that
No,
out.
I know, I'm just saying, why not, which makes sense, but I mean, maybe we have one of these things to vote on every other meeting. I mean, it just happens throughout the year as things, because permitting is gonna be different for every, a sign permit versus window permit versus
I think that's something we need to look at.
Then it becomes
site plan review.
Patient fund that takes on a life of its own, and we spend 3-4 meetings on it a year. When we could be doing other things.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a conversation to have. I think. Yeah,
All right. Good,
that's a good point,
good,
definitely.
good
If
feedback.
it gets successful and we need to do something like that.
Yeah, maybe for the
Yeah.
pilot, we do it for
Somebody come
once.
with a great plan December 1st and go, sorry, you missed the window. Come back next year.
No, I mean,
It's a good.
well, then maybe we say that applications hard and final are due by January 31st, and you need to have your project done by June 30th or something like that, but like, and give it more time, but I also, yeah, I also think like for a pilot program, we might just see what we get. I mean, yeah, I'm not hard and fast to the 1 month. It was just an idea, but I think definitely like,
And I wasn't saying, I wasn't picking a whole month.
Yeah.
I was picking on a deadline, maybe it.
and we also need to think about the fiscal year reimbursements too, and getting those done in time. We don't want, because I don't want to make sure we follow the money hard and fast, and that if we get to a point where we look like we're overexpending our money and we're gonna need some sort of weird transfer, weird request for funding, or we're gonna run out and not be able to put towards other things, we want to stay on top of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. Yeah,
I think you can get around that just by setting your budget. and
Yeah.
that's your budget.
And since this is somewhat new and the selectmen have to approve all our spending. Does the concept need to be run by them, I would say, at the minimum, to make sure that they're on board with this before we were to even go public to just.
I
make
view it
them
as an
up?
opportunity to advertise it
yeah, I
in
think.
front of the board.
Yeah, I think they want to see more of us anyway.
Yeah.
We gleaned at this
It's a good thing.
as an idea when we presented to them last month about our town
Mhm.
meeting article. So they showed enthusiasm for it. They showed enthusiasm and support for this and for other economic development things. That's really what they want to see from us right now. So, yeah, I think personally, I think we should try and proactively get in front of them more often than have them invite us. And so I think that'd be a good next topic.
Yeah, I think, to answer your question, I think the support is there. We just need to throw something in front of them, say, this is what we got,
The
right?
boilerplate.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
know what they're
Yeah.
getting themselves into, so
Yeah.
to speak, well,
Yeah.
what we're all getting ourselves into.
Yep. All right, so
So we'll just keep this on the agenda.
keep it on the agenda, yeah. And Mary, maybe by the next meeting, we can have some preliminary ideas, yeah, perfect. All right.
Thanks
Okay,
for your
I'll-
PowerPoint, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, welcome. Thank you for your comments. Very well. All right, this next item, signage program update, this is the grant that we submitted, that we checked back in with the state. They were allowing us to keep it. We've matched it.
Reaching out to the state to make sure we're still good with extending deadlines.
Right, right. But at one of the meetings that Bill Scott mentioned that he was gonna put an RFP together and get it out there and
That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened.
Oh.
Unless Bill did it without my knowing, and I don't think that's the case.
okay,
I didn't know what you were looking for. We have to make sure that you're right. We got the grant from the state. We need to make sure that the grant will continue.
right. So that you've done that. We did it once already. We're doing it again.
Mhm.
And we don't know if Bill has put an RFP together or if he
I don't
intends
think,
to.
I don't think he has. I wasn't sure what you
Yeah.
wanted. That's why I
Yeah.
was hoping we'd touch base.
Yeah. Okay, so my only reason for putting this on, we like to keep it on, get an update from him. Going to meetings for it, because if this isn't going to happen, we might as well reprogram the money. And to do something.
Wayfinding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
good program.
yeah,
It's good use of the money.
it is. We ever get an RFP out there on the street, yeah. Okay. Next item is committee member updates.
I'll just provide a little update on the Barnstable County Economic Development Committee. They are still working on the draft community economic development survey plan, the SEDS. Tonight, they're actually meeting tonight at the same time we were, so I couldn't hop on, but they're discussing the draft plan and then their approach to gathering public input on the document. So as soon as that document comes live for public input, I can share it with our committee and make sure that it's on our agenda to talk about providing any comments on that. They also recently had a little bit of a change in the committee makeup. There's 2 vacancies, Lisa Guyon from WeCan and Julie Wake from the Art Center, both vacated their position, but Wendy Northcross was just appointed last month to fill one of those vacancies. So they still have one more vacancy. They're accepting applications until it's filled.
Okay. Joe?
I don't have a lot. I would ask that I get the packet landing on the next agenda for us to talk about. Should be ready to present that next meeting.
Okay. That's good. Joe Gibbs?
Just a question if we'd heard anything more. I see the Fire Festival's going across the street, but the CODCOM, have we heard any?
No, I had reached out again and asked for an update in writing. And I thought that Sam was gonna have it for us, and he had indicated he might come to the meeting, but
Nothing.
Did we,
I'll just keep following up.
did we put a date on that?
You did, but you also did for the Pirate Festival as well. So, and that's why I was asking Sam for something in writing, because I think it's, at this point, it's late. Want to get him an update on what to expect in terms of ongoing construction on the roads and everything when that event is planned for in October. So construction will be back on, but
Right.
we'll keep following up.
Pete, anything? Danielle?
No.
I'm good. All right, staff update,
Good.
right. That's good. And I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
The Cape Magazine is in. So I just wanted everyone to be aware that our chamber had worked for years to convince the Denison Hyannis Chamber to do this magazine as a joint project.
Hmm.
So not only did it save our commercial businesses quite a bit of money in advertising with 3 different chambers. Each of our chambers also benefited from combining our resources and combining, instead of each one of us paying $40,000 to print our individual magazines, we spent $40,000 once. So
I hear so many nice things when people pick it up.
It's beautiful.
They just love it.
It's really
So it
nice.
is, it's lovely.
that is the paper I've been wanting for 3 years, so I'm thrilled.
It's the
So,
best.
we're having a launch party on Thursday morning at the chamber. Join us between 11 and 1 if you can. I think we have like 50 or 60 people pre-registered. But you know, it's a great way for you guys to come and meet some of the business owners in town. So if you're able to attend, that would be great. And then I just wanted to also, if you can put on your calendar, we're going to have a Mermaid Day in Yarmouth on June 29th with a rain date of June 30th. And our mermaid is Miss Cape Cod. So I hope you can join us. We were on the beach today planning it, and we still
Which
need to
beach
go.
is it at?
Parkers River.
Okay.
We still need to go before the select board for the approval for the
Mhm.
entertainment license, but I can tell you one of the challenges that the chamber face going on town property now is that we need to have 1 million, $3 million dollar. And so our insurance now, our event insurance policy has to be rewritten, and it's gonna be triple the cost of the insurance for us to do events on town property.
I have seen this comment from individuals looking to use town property, renting the pavilion at Grays Beach and other things like that. And I've seen comments about that on the, mostly on Facebook, but from other people that it's a lot to,
So insurance went up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just since COVID for event insurance, but now I think by doing our event insurance on town property, it's gonna triple the zero amount. So I understand the reason. that they-
Yeah.
What's the cost?
I don't know,
Before.
waiting for the new policy, like, I can go over that with you, but it was a shocker for us when we got the call that they have to rewrite our entire policy now.
yeah.
So I just thought I'd give that to you guys for some feedback. But just another factor to think about when you guys are focusing on events.
And just the next thing, at the next meeting, which is June 11, we should have just a presentation of the next,
Yeah, the proposal's done. so-
yeah, the next iteration of the Chamber of Commerce contract, which is year 3 of the current contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's our next meeting.
That is your next meeting.
5? At 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
If 5 continues to work.
Good for,
I forgot to mention, Mr. Chairman, the 5 select board candidates are gonna be at the cultural center tomorrow night. League of Women Voters is putting on a forum. 6 to 7:30,
At the cultural center.
broadcast by Cape Media.
okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Can I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you all. Good meeting.
And now,
She's happy to
I'm
be out.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, right?
Smile on her face,
I didn't know.
not sleeping these days.
Yeah, that, yeah, he's